Noonoouri? Don't ask me, honestly. The first AI pop singer has officially released a debut single after signing with industry giant Warner Music. Well, I suppose that was more or less inevitable, wasn't it? And I do take some issues with this as well. The first AI pop singer. I do believe that Hatsune Miku might have a thing or two to say about that, although I suppose sorta kinda technically they're somewhat correct, as of course Hatsune Miku was created by the company to forward their own Vocaloid brand and their product. She wasn't a independent, if that is a term even applicable to this, whereas Noonoouri is. She is created by a third party who then signed her up to Warner Music. Her, it, I suppose, is the correct pronouns in this case. So, we've been talking quite a bit about AI on this channel recently, mostly in relations to the Writers Guild strike and the Screen Actors Guild strike, because, well, AI is coming and it is eventually going to replace, if not all jobs, then at the very least the majority of jobs, although to varying degrees and efficiencies. The thing is, there is pretty much no job that cannot be automated with the sufficient investment of resources and research. The biggest differentials is, of course, things like, well, flexibility. An AI, or a machine indeed, is very good at doing one thing, and it's relatively easy to teach a machine to do one thing. But if you need it to do two things, it gets a lot more complex. 3 things, oh boy howdy, and 4 to 5 things, now you're getting really ridiculous, like multiple years of research level ridiculous. But something like writing a script, or acting, in other words making vocal sounds, well, these are things that the AI can do fairly well because they have access to enormous quantities of data telling them how to. If you tell an AI to make a script in a certain style, well, it can, just like that, read every single instant of that style ever created and then copy it. You ask it to act like a certain person, again, it can just scan everything that person has ever done and produce a equivalent version of it. These are relatively simple things to do. Singing is another relatively simple thing to do. Again, which is why we've already had something that does this for a very long time now. I don't know how old Hatsune Miku is off the top of my head, but she's been around for quite some time. And this isn't all that different. So I listened to this, it's not good. In fact, I might even go so far as to say it's rather awful, and I have no idea what went through the heads of the Warner Music department beyond maybe, well, you know, it's novel, people are talking about this AI stuff, and I heard the whole VTuber shtick is taking off. This is kind of like that, right? And the guy on the other end, about to receive a giant check, said, yeah, toots, I presume. Actually, it's not really much of an AI. There is a bit of an article here going a little bit more into depth as to what it is, and in reality, it is more along the lines of a program that creates songs. It's based off another singer that they then tweak to make it unique and, well, copyrightable. The dancing movements are done via a mocap suit, I believe they mention here somewhere. And she doesn't really think or react organically, so calling her an AI is a big stretch, because you could certainly argue that if this was a proper entertainment AI, then that would set her apart quite significantly from Hatsune Miku, which is in essence simply just like a vocal program, right? If you had this and it could do a live concert, like an actual live concert, where it could respond to the audience, you respond to verbal stimuli, etc., call out where she is, do the dance automatically, switch tracks automatically, etc., switch outfits depending upon the style or the feelings of the crowd, so on and so on, that you could call an AI. This isn't really, it's a singing bot de facto. Hell, it's a voice changer essentially that you feed the lyrics into and then it produces the noises required. This is I don't think this is going to go anywhere. I think this, if anything, is going to collapse rather quickly, because it doesn't really provide anything particularly new. And the entire idea of a lot of this is, of course, the sense of novelty. The whole VTuber thing, for example, came about as of a sense of novelty. That was a large part of the driving force of it, because the original VTuber, which I believe was Kizunai, well, she kind of connected the neurons and went, okay, people like anime girls, so what if I just become one? And people, what? You can do that? And a couple of weeks thereafter, you had 100 of them, and now there are millions. This, again, is pretty much just Hatsune Miku, but kind of I wouldn't even say pitched to a Western audience, pitched poorly to a Western audience, I think. Even like this model is not very high quality. It's like they try to make something cartoonish in a way. I don't really get it, why this should be appealing. I don't get why the song should be appealing either, frankly. It doesn't even sound just basic, it just sounds like a bad singer with a voice changer. Nevertheless, I do think it is an interesting data point in the evolution of AI as a competitor to the mainstream, because once again, all of those things we've mentioned about actors and writers goes in triplicates for the music industry. The music industry used to be one of the largest entertainment industries on Earth. It was tremendously popular, and the big name stars were everywhere. They were stars in the most literal sense of the word. Now, you do have a couple of them today, even like Taylor Swift, who sells out like everything in 5 seconds and earns uncountable billions the moment he shows a toe in public, but by and large, we've long since passed by the era of like 2000s and the 90s, where there were dozens of major music stars and everyone knew their names. They were literally household names. Whereas now, the music industry has shrunk rather rapidly, in large part due to the ease of sharing their content. Why pay full price for music, which costs the same as a movie or a video game, when they're far smaller file sizes and far easier to replicate as well? Piracy absolutely hit the music industry, probably the hardest out of all of them, and it did do damage. That, in addition to the fact that the various music contracts were always relatively abusive, and in some cases extraordinarily abusive, to the point where only the largest stars could actually make a good, earnest living out of it, and then the introduction of social media, where now, well, if you want to be a singer, you probably got better chances going on YouTube, or TikTok, or Twitter, or any social media platform, and just starting to gather an audience, rather than trying to get a record deal, which is probably going to have shittier requirements, and is going to be even more difficult to obtain than organic fame in the current year. Bearing in mind how difficult that is to obtain as well. But this means that the entire music industry is in a position where they're not earning that big stacks of cash anymore, and getting the talent is more difficult than ever, in large parts due to their incredibly negative reputation, in which case, well, a beep boop that sings good enough, it's good enough. Because when you really realize it, the truly standout musical talents, the people that can just send shivers down your spines, are unfathomably rare. But good singers, they're surprisingly common. That's why shows like, America's Got Talent, for example, or X Factor, the talent shows where people sing and dance and shit. There's like 5 of them running constantly on television every single goddamn year ad infinitum. That is how many people with the bare baseline of talent exist out there. Like, getting decent at singing is something, it is a skill you can work on, rather than it being, a completely God-given gift. And so, if you can have an AI that does the job good enough, and you can have a music company then putting all of their muscle behind it, getting the mainstream media, for example, to talk about it, well, you could probably mass produce talents like this. And if one doesn't work, well, yeet it, do another one. Simple as. You could produce 100 such talents in the times it takes to create one actual singer. And one of those hundreds might just make it big, if for nothing else than the sheer novelty of it. It literally is a cost versus investment argument. It's the same with writing. If the AI will produce 99 shit scripts, but number 100 has potential, well, it'll do that job in nanoseconds. Whereas writers will require years and years and ridiculous quantities of cash to do so. We're probably going to see a rather interesting little wave here, where we're going to see a lot of garbage being produced out of this. And I do mean a lot of garbage, until the algorithms themselves and the systems behind it have been finessed and fandangled enough to actually be able to produce relative quality at a relatively predictable rate. And this... well, this is one of those garbage things, whilst the industry tries to figure out this new novelty. As I bet you right now, there's a lot of people up in their ivory towers looking at the successes of, like, the big VTuber companies, for example, and wondering, why couldn't we do that? And the answer is, you could. Unironically, it wouldn't even be that difficult. As I've said on multiple occasions, God help us all when the AI, when the AI figures out how to use cute anime girls, example, to sell products. When the Phillips screwdriver becomes a little cute anime girl is the moment we know that we are doomed as a civilization, though it is not yet. Overwhelming majority of people responding to this are not very fond of this idea at all, in large part, I believe, because the singing is absolute garbage, and Miku, on the other hand, is embraced rather happily. At least she was novel, right? But this is the first step on the road to the destruction of the music class. And hey, I have got more sympathy for musicians than I have actors and writers, and yet, the simple fact is, the more easily replaced you are, the sooner your head will be on the chopping block, and don't worry, I am fully aware of my own position on that chopping block too, which is why I would like to invite you to the Church of Archism, as I'm currently building a cult of personality around myself. And my ability to mispronounce even the simplest of words, apparently, when required to get it correct. Consider joining up now. You'll get free slippers. Actually, that's a lie, but, you know, you get my drift here. Do let me know what you think in the comment section down below, though, about AI singers. And I would suggest looking this up just so you can experience how shit it is for yourself. Till next time, I've been Arch. Thank you all very much for watching, and I do hope to see you all again soon. Till then, have a good day.